From here we bring our palms together. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mitroma Amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Inhale deeply, suspend your breath. And then we want to exhale. Good. So this morning I want to introduce, I call it my 3 L's. The work for the lungs, for the liver, and for the lymph. So there will be standing postures. For those who can't stand, you can just sit, and you will move your arms. So if you can, come up standing. Let me see that you can see me well. So what you will have is soft knees. Your feet are like very slightly pigeon toes. Soft knees. And I show it from the side. My arms come up just to the level of my forehead. My arms are bent. Everything is very loose here. I look forward. I'm not bringing my head down or my torso. I'm just bending my knees on the sound of inhaling through the nose, exhale, open mouth. I love to do this posture for my lungs or my bronchial. You can do this sitting where you just move your arms by the side. Make sure your knees are soft, arms are like, I always call like overcooked noodles. We're working our lung meridian here. Just make sure you're not bringing your torso or your head down. You look forward. We do 1 more minute. Very simple. Last 15 seconds. We can do this. Good, and then from here, inhale, bring your palms forward, exhale, open mouth. 2 more times, inhale through your nose. Exhale, open mouth. Well, you might feel a tingling and activation in your body. More room to breathe. So lung and liver are connected. So we keep our slight pigeon toes, soft knees, arms are again totally loose. And you just swing from side to side. You inhale to the left, you look over your left shoulder. You exhale towards the right, you look over your right shoulder. You want to imagine your liver like a wet towel, and you wring out that towel by looking over your shoulder. The arms are just hanging loose. The hands touch the body when we swing. Your liver is celebrating right now because you help your liver to decongest. The postures that I share with you today, I do them at least 4 times a week in my own practice. There are so many good postures for the body that I have to space them out a bit. But this is one of my essentials, like the lung opener. And I can do the sitting, I can do the standing. Good, last minute. Just make sure you look over your shoulder because that really intensifies the twist. And our liver needs to be twisted. Last 15 seconds. Good, and then from here we come back to center, slowly, palms facing forward. Inhale through your nose, exhale, open mouth. Good. If you're sitting on a chair, you can bring your legs a little further apart. When you're standing, we do the same. The toes are pointing outward. We will come into a little squat. So the ones with knee issues, be responsible. Don't go down too far. Yeah. So just make sure when you squat, your knees are not hanging over your toes too much. Palms, arms are behind you, palms facing forward. You squat down and then you exhale up. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. We will just do a minute this morning. This can be done easily up to 7 minutes. If you really want to work your lymphatic system. This works the groin, your thighs, everything in your body gets activated here. All breath now is through the nostrils. Last 30 seconds. And when you're sitting, just know you work the entire upper lymphatic, all the nodes up there. Good, inhale, now up. Exhale, sweep through your auric field. Inhale up. Exhale. One more time. Good. Now I think all of us want to sit. And then we are ready for Nirmala.
Okay. Thank you, Siddhi.
You're welcome.
Okay. My sweet ladies, I just adore all of you. Makes me so happy to see you. It's the highlight of my week. Couple of things. One is that Siddhi and I are working on a book that is a book around the themes that we've been talking about on our Sangha mornings. There are so many spiritual themes that could go on forever, but we're going to choose a group of themes, and we're having micro practices, mudras and mantras and whatever is appropriate to support the theme and the teaching. And what we would love from someone in our group, if somebody is available and interested, I know there are a lot of artists in this group, and we would like someone to help us, or a couple of someone's, to do the art that would go with it, drawings, basically either illustrations or line drawings of specifically the mudras and maybe some other interesting objects or something. We haven't exactly decided all of that, but we would love some support. So if one of you or two of you who are interested in art and would like to support that and be a part of that process, you can let Siddhi or me know, and we would love to have your participation. It will be a lot of fun. Also, just a reminder that we are once a month having our highlights and resources, and we're starting in July with Lisa Smith doing a shamanic journey with us for a half an hour from 8:45 to 9:15. So you can stay on the call for an additional half hour and participate in that. And I wanted to mention, we're going to talk a bit about creativity today, but I wanted to mention that one of our members who is extremely creative in the writing world, Sheila, is doing, and we won't have time to do a highlight on this because it's starting right away, but I wanted you to have a chance. She's put it in the chat. Sheila has a once a month free 90-minute writing intro, writing for those who've never written or for those who have written. I love what she put in the chat: unleash your inner storyteller. No rules, no pressure, writing to explore your life. So you might want to join this Monday for 90 minutes from 11 to 12:30 Pacific time, and see where that goes. You might enjoy being a part of one of her writing groups. Writing is such an amazing way to express ourselves to ourselves. It's not just about expressing it into the world. It's about expressing, hearing yourself, another voice. It's really a voice. How often we don't speak to ourselves unless it's in some sort of a reprimanding way, but to speak what's really happening in you and through you in writing, just for yourself, is an amazing process. So I invite you to, I think that, is there a link that we need, Shelley or Sheila, for this?
No,
oh, I have it there, SheilaEllison.com. Perfect.
Yeah, right on the first thing. And I can always put the Zoom link in the group email if you want after this.
Okay, great. That would be great. I highly recommend it. I had explored a lot of my writing, early writing with Sheila in a group that we had at Spirit House. And it really, the word unleashing is really accurate, because I think so many of us, we decide what we're good at. And then if we decide we're not good at something, we just don't enter into that arena. We just go, oh, I'm not a good writer. I'm not a good dancer. I'm not a good artist, whatever it is. And the idea that we have creative juices around every possible topic and endeavor is just true. And if we stop the judgment, something that Sheila said when we were just checking in this morning, she said how valuable it is to learn through creativity to not be judgmental, and how that spills over into everything in your life. So you learn to not judge a painting you might do, or a writing you might do, or whatever. You just do it for the joy of being creative. And that the judgment piece, once we learn to let go of that, we find that there are places all over our life that we are using subtle judgments to keep us from actually exploring the fullness of our life, just keeping us from exploring. And what else are we here for? If we're not here to explore the fullness of our life in no judgmental way, not something being better or worse or good or marketable, but just being an experience, what are we doing? Why are we here? There's no other purpose than to expand the experiences of this physical and energetic container that we have, that we're carrying around and working with for these, 80, 90, 100 years, whatever the length is. It's just about expressing ourselves. That's it. Into the world. And sometimes that's selflessness of offering help to someone. Sometimes it's offering something that makes people feel good. Sometimes it's adding beauty to the world. It can be many different things, but we are all creative, every one of us, whether we're marketing that creativity or not. So I highly recommend exploring through something like this, where you have an author who has written many books and who knows the process and can have it as an enjoyable process rather than as another discipline. Cindy and I keep teaching you so many disciplines. It's like another discipline, another meditation, another breath work, another, you're probably like, enough. But writing's another entirely different process. So I recommend that. Okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit about yoga. And what I'd like to say about yoga, just as what the term means, yoking ourselves to the divine, yoking ourselves to ourselves, connecting all the pieces of ourselves. We as women become very fragmented very easily, where we're operating on so many multitasking levels that a little piece of us goes here and a little piece of us goes here, but the fullness of us becomes these fragments, instead of being a whole container that has the power and the fiat and the intensity that we carry as women available to us. So we find we only have pieces available to us when we need the fullness of us available all the time. So why is yoga so important? Most of us think about yoga as a set of asanas, a set of postures. And that is one aspect of yoga, but it's not the fullness of yoga. Yoga as a full teaching is about the integration of self. And if we look at our mental, our physical, our energetic self as a complex weaving of our physicality and our energy, both on the gross and the subtle level, and we see that this is a dance that we have with ourselves. We're dancing with ourselves, pulling the pieces back, inviting the pieces in, allowing them to be expressed into the world and into our own expression of whether it's creativity or it's knowledge or it's friendship or support, whatever it happens to be that we're offering. We are fountains of offering all the time. We are that chocolate fountain that people have at weddings where you can put in the angel food cake or the piece of fruit, but we are eternally creating abundance and flowing it back into the world. Whether you acknowledge that or not, just by stepping out into the world each day, you are that. We are that. That's how we operate. That's how women express ourselves into the world, is through compassion and love and support. And so we need to be tending that. And yoga is the mind, body, spirit connection to support that ever-flowing abundance that we want to be into the world and into our own self. We want our body to be, that's the juice. That's the joy that we talk about. The fragrance of joy is when that integration happens. It's not a thing or a place. It's an integration. It's not an activity that we do that we need to repeat to have joy. Joy is an integration of our mental, physical, and energetic being to where we're heightened into the source that we are. And then however that expresses itself is how it expresses itself. But in its abundance and in its fiat and in its juiciness, we feel an engagement with life. We feel different about how we step into life. So this is important for our vitality. How we understand yoga, how we understand the integration of this fullness of our being is really important for us, because we want to be that perpetual fountain of juiciness and joy and experiencing the life through a lens that allows us to really taste, to have all of our senses heightened. And you cannot have heightened senses if you are bifurcated into a million pieces. We have to learn how to pull ourselves back together. So through the Vedic lens, we look at ourselves as a series of layers. And these layers in the Sanskrit word are called koshas. And that means sheath or a layer. And each of these layers impacts and influences the vitality of the other layers. So they're interconnected. We can't separate them out and say, well, I'll just work on this one layer. We have to look at this as an interconnectedness of web that we are within. It's like a matrix. And we have to tend all of the pieces of it so that that matrix comes together. And that's where the strength and the vitality comes from. We're interconnected inside ourselves in the microcosm of the interconnectedness of the universe as a macrocosm. We're just a smaller version of that. And the more we tend ourselves in that way, the more we'll be able to take that out into the world and tend the world in that way and view the world in that way. And as we're working towards holding equanimity and respect and interconnectedness with one another, we have to start with ourselves and really get that right so that we're operating out of that ease and strength of interconnectedness. There's an ease in that. When you have your pieces interconnected and you're flowing, it's a flow of creativity. This is why we do things like writing, taking writing classes, or we paint, or we dance, or we, whatever you're creative, we work in landscaping, or we design in the house, or all these many aspects. We do those things because those things help to express and release this fountain. We do them because it helps us to touch in with ourselves and find the whole interconnectedness of ourselves. So as we look at these koshas, these layers, there are 5 of them in the Sanskrit teachings from the early Vedas. The first one is our physical body. It's called the Annamaya kosha. It's the food sheath and it's the earth element. It's the grossest or the densest of the 5 koshas. It's our physical body, the organs, the bones, the muscles, the skin. Anna means food, the physical nature, and Maya means made of. So we're all very familiar with our physical body and the Annamaya kosha. The second kosha is our energy body, and it's called our Pranamaya kosha, the vital sheath. This is our chi, this is our juice. And it's the water element. So interesting for women where water is so powerful for us in terms of our fiat and our force and our abundance. Women are water. We show up the moon. We show up with all of the water essences. We're very strongly associated with water. And the Pranamaya kosha is the water element. So this is our subtle life force. This can be chi, you can call it juju, you can call it prana, but it happens through the prana, the breath. This is the force that is the animating force behind every atom, every cell, every organ. Our whole body system thrives on this kosha. This is what keeps everything flowing through us in terms of the energetics. When there's no breath, then we're dead. Our breath, the prana, is what keeps the life force alive and vibrant in us. Imbalances and blocks in this energetic body greatly affect the overall physiology of our system. So when your breath is not happening properly, this is why Siddhi talks so much about how we breathe and why breathing exercises are important and what your belly should be doing when you inhale and what your belly. She's told me that I don't even breathe properly. I'm like, really? And it's true. So she's been working with me on how to breathe better. Breathing is our life force. If we don't get that right, we have a reduced vitality. So having a breath practice, a simple breath practice or a complicated one, doesn't matter. Having a breath practice is part of sustaining the energy body, the pranamaya kosha. And if we keep that alive and vibrant, then our physical body thrives and it opens us up to the rest of the koshas, which are more subtle than the pranamaya kosha. Unstable pranamaya kosha or pranic energy causes our mind to be agitated and our other body systems irregular. So in Ayurveda, if you're having irregularity in different systems within your body, we look at your breath. That's one of the ways that we determine how to stabilize an erratic system within your body. Breath is so fundamental and baseline to how it is that we are manifesting ourselves into the world. So the third, and the other thing I just want to say about prana, breath, is when your mind is scattered and you're having trouble focusing, or you're having repetitive thoughts that are going on that you do not want to hear, that are not really favorable for you. This is all about the breath. If you want to control your mental agitation, you have to control your breath. So however it is, in whatever practice, just taking deep breaths, just centering yourself in normal deep breaths, breathing in, breathing out consciously, will change the agitation in your mind. The third kosha is the mental body. It's the Manamaya kosha. This is the fire element. So how interesting, fire. How is it that the jumbled up thoughts and repetition of belief systems that go on in our mind, where we have a whole dialogue and a whole conversation in our mind about something that is not even really happening? The fire element, we feed that with fire. That's the fire of us. And if we can control that fire, controlled fires can be really good. Uncontrolled fires wipe out everything. So this level, this Manamaya kosha, would be our thoughts, our feelings, the sensations that we have. Many of us have overactive Manamaya kosha, and that wears on our nervous system. It plays out through our emotions. It's really hard on our adrenals. It is the place from where most physical ailments first sit. The mind out of control starts the energetic shift from being in a healthy state to an unhealthy state. If we can tend to anything, we need to tend the mental state, our Manamaya kosha. The fourth of these sheaths or koshas is the wisdom body, Vijnanamaya kosha. It's the intellect, and it's the air element. When we first in yoga, when you first start working on the first three of the koshas, that is setting a foundation for this wisdom body, for the Vijnanamaya kosha to operate properly. We have to have our body in control, our breath in control, our mind in control. When we have those balanced and working well for us, which is what yoga looks at. When you're on the mat, you're working on the body being in alignment, you're working on the breath, and you're working on settling the mind. When those three things are in concert together, the wisdom body, the Vijnanamaya kosha, opens up and floods out. The creative part of you, the intellectual part of you, the part of you that is working off of intuitive nature, that's just flowing and bubbling through you, the knowingness without studying something, you just know it. This is what comes through the wisdom body. So if we don't take care of our first three koshas, getting the juice out of this fourth wisdom body, Vijnanamaya kosha, is not going to be easy for us. It will not be easy. This is why we use yoga. This is why we use the pranayama exercises, so that we have the best benefit of this wisdom body, kosha, being on its highest, abundant, fruitful presentation in our life. Our intuition, people have so many different ideas about intuition, but intuition is simply knowingness coming not from another idea. It just comes. There's a knowing, there's a truth that comes through you that you know to be accurate, and yet you cannot relate it to something that you've learned or you've been taught or you've experienced. It's just a knowing on another level. This intuitiveness is how we want to live our life, because it guides us in very subtle ways. So working on this level, this wisdom kosha level, is very helpful for us in living in alignment with how our life is unfolding, not fighting it, and having the intuitive knowledge of which direction to go, how to take our life when these forks in the road come up, how to navigate that. If we set up the first three in order, we take care of our body, we take care of our mind, and we take care of our breath, then we will have this wisdom body. And it's wisdom, not knowledge. Knowledge can be learned in a book. Wisdom is something that comes together from that which we've learned and that which we've experienced and that which we have on an energetic level that's not understood. When those things come together, we have wisdom. And the fifth of the koshas is the bliss body. That's the Anandamaya kosha, Ananda, bliss. And it's the space element, that which cannot be contained and cannot be measured, space. It's the deepest layer. It's the core of our existence. And this is not a place we aim to get, that if I do these things, I get there. It's an absence of things that puts us there, not an addition of things. It's an absence of extra thought. It's an absence of identifying with who you are. It's an absence of judgment that allow us to be in the bliss body. It's a detachment and not relating ourselves to a certain criteria that then keep us in our mind for the judgment and the evaluation and the trying again. If we stay out of that place, we step into our bliss body, the Anandamaya kosha. It's like coming back home to who we truly are. It's a place of peace and contentment and the real deepest connection. So for this week, I will put this on our toolbox so that you can see the names of these. For the Anandamaya kosha, your body, move your body this week. Move it either through yoga asanas or just move it through outdoor activities. Eat mindfully, hydrate, have food and drinks, tea, alkaline water that are really good for you. Just take, not in an extreme way, just be really healthy this week. Work on your pranamaya kosha with breath consciousness. You don't have to do a specific breath exercise. Just be conscious of your breath. Become friends with your breath. Become in relationship with your breath where you're noticing, where is it more shallow? Where is it deeper? Where is it slowing down? What's happening with my breath? Follow your breath for the week. For the Vijnanamaya kosha, for the Manamaya kosha, the mind, is best meditation. Take a few minutes, take 11 minutes and just sit and let your mind relax. Do mind relaxing activities where your mind lets go, whatever that is for you. It might be writing, it might be painting, it might be dancing, it might be taking a walk in nature. Where it is that your mind stops its auto and turns off. Meditation's the easiest way into that. If you're a meditator, work on the Manamaya kosha. And for the Vijnanamaya kosha, the strength of this one being the 3 previous ones. So if you're pulling those into your life, this one will automatically start to express itself through creative, through your intuitiveness, through your knowingness, just your gut knowingness. And lastly, just acknowledge the bliss, unity, consciousness that you are. There's nothing to do but enjoy the embodiment of this life. There's nothing else to do. And see how that works this week.
Thank you, Namala. I thought for this morning, giving the koshas, you address the wisdom body, and I like to address the wisdom body this morning with a very simple mudra. So just bring your hands into prayer pose. And I just turn my hands around so you can see what I do. And then I bend my thumbs inward. Yeah, so my hands are separating, my fingers are all touching, and my thumbs are going inward. They touch at the knuckle. And you just keep this very nice mudra close to your throat center. So it's pointing upward. Here we're closing our eyes. And we start with long, deep breathing. Bringing our awareness to our third eye, the point between our eyebrows. And then we're connecting to the vibration of Om, just the sound of Om.
Om.
Still hear the sound of Om in your head, just for 30 more seconds. Then we bring our hands into prayer pose, releasing our thumbs. Sitting in this mudra, listen to the sound of Om activates your wisdom, body. It regulates your nervous system. And it stimulates your prana. A lot of the koshas Nirmala mentioned. Inhale deeply. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Have a beautiful week. Namaste. And Sheila, you wanted to put a link onto the chat.
Oh, I can do that. You want me to do that now, or should I just send it to you? The Zoom link, you mean?
Yeah, I think that's the best. If you send it to Nirmala and then she can send it out.
I'll include it in our email.
Perfect.